Let's pivot to the future a little bit. Cutting edge tech, what's happening. AI is obviously taking over the world. Since GPT was released, I mean, that's been like the #1 tech conversation, right, about where that's going. Just by show of hands, who's using AI in some capacity in their company right now? Okay. Who's pretending to? Okay. Yeah, I mean, it is a very much a marketing thing but we are seeing more and more companies actually using it, not just like a GPT wrapper, but like actually, deploying it. What about you guys in terms of like, obviously you have an AI company, Chris, so you might be, a little bit, a good person to start this. What are your views on it as a technology, general thoughts? How are you using it in your company? Where do you see it going in the future? I had this chat with Harry Stebbings, the podcaster, investor recently. He said 85% of AI companies raising right now will be gone in like a year. He's probably right. I'd probably say it's closer to 95%. We all know what happens with trends and hypes. They come, blockchain, metaverse, Web3, and then it's all gone. NFTs, do you remember them? Yeah, I still got some NFTs. I almost gave my mum an NFT for a Christmas gift one year, but I realised that was not going to work. AI, what's your view, Chris, and how can it change or delete the world?
I gave my son, my 12-year-old then son, 200 Dogecoin for a joke once, and then about 7 years later was scrabbling around trying to find it so I could sell it because it was worth so much money. Anyway, I mean, these trends have a habit of kind of coming and going, and then they come back again in a big way and no one expected it. But I think with AI, I think that there's a couple of things in it that I'm much more excited about than, say, blockchain. I always thought the blockchain was a solution, still really looking for a problem. It does have some fundamental challenges which are being worked on, and there are lots of smart people who are actively trying to fix the carbon footprint, for example. There's lots of things there, but never really saw a kind of a use case. With GPT, on the other hand, there's a very clear product that works and adds value instantly in something like ChatGPT, which took the world by storm, as we all know. And then everybody decided that they were going to reorient their business overnight. And I think an awful lot of product managers heard from their founders and CEOs that they needed to rip up the roadmap, and it was probably very frustrating. I think what's interesting about it is that, yes, anyone can build a GPT wrapper, and that sounds very exciting, but it's also a big disadvantage because anyone can build a GPT wrapper, anyone can use this tech. So you have to make sure that you've got an idea that really differentiates. It's kind of back to what I was saying before. It's a big old hammer that you can use for all sorts of different things. What customer problem are you solving using AI, and how is that going to actually make anyone any money? If you can't figure that out, then don't use it. It's not worth it yet. But ultimately, I think the corollary to that is that AI is this advance that we're seeing in transformers and both text and image and video and 3D is all coming. I do think fundamentally that something has shifted. I do agree that this is I think it's as big as the internet for sure. Possibly as big as the microprocessor, although I'm not quite old enough to remember that particular trend or dynamic. But I do think that it is big, but no one really knows what it is yet, and it's still emerging, and we're probably 5-10 years off from knowing that. So it's definitely worth keeping an eye on. It's definitely worth understanding, but stick to customer problems. Figure out how you're making their lives better, how you're adding value, and focus on that, and focus on what's defensible about your idea, that somebody else can't just come along with a smart team and replicate what you're doing. That's really important. I
mean, you need a moat, don't you? You need something which a 14-year-old kid in Iowa in his basement can't copy overnight. I mean, the thing about AI and with all the money it costs to buy the tech to get it going. I mean, trying to find GPUs, it's like trying to find drugs. It's really harder to find them right now, right? So yeah, I mean that in itself is not a moat, though, is it? You need a competitive advantage outside of that.
Absolutely, and big tech is going to buy the GPUs before you can afford them. So and especially in the UK, we have a real shortage of decent data centers in the UK, and a lot of data that people want to train these things on is UK only. You want to keep it inside the UK. So really challenging place to kind of exist at the moment.
Hey, really quick video just to give you a free subscription to Coder magazine. Coder is the #1 publication for all the latest tech news, expert insights, and exclusive industry interviews. With Coder, you get the inside scoop on what's happening with Elon Musk, with Bill Gates, with Jeff Bezos, with Mark Zuckerberg, and so much more. So if you work in the technology industry, then I'd highly recommend that you give Coda a read today. Just scan the QR code on the screen for free access now, or go to welovealpha.com/magazine to get your free subscription today. Kit, what would your opinion on artificial intelligence be, sir?
I mean, I have to consider slightly what I say here, given that our half-year results are out next week. So, look, I think you're totally right. I'd always think about being on the side of the picks and shovels, right? I mean, so much easier just to find a way to complement the coming wave and the trend. I'd be quite worried if I was trying to go direct, head on head with what's coming, because the pace of change, the amount of business model disruption that's going to be wrought is actually unpredictable. You won't know it, so it's like focus on the one low-hanging use case at a time. Yeah. Is it a complement to your business, or is it just going to destroy it? That would be something. Maybe ask yourself the question whether there's a slightly different market industry you can focus in. For example, manufacturing's never been very sexy, but it's a lot more disruption-proof right now than a software company. So something to think about. The other thing that's quite interesting, obviously, depending on the size and scale of your business, is it's easy to assume the unit cost of getting started is going to go down very quickly. Therefore, there shouldn't be that many barriers to entry to spinning things up, testing, failing, moving on. That's great. Likewise, if you've got scale, us, for example, we are looking at how we can deploy AI quite aggressively inside the organization, and there will be big efficiency gains as a result, productivity gains. That's great. That's ultimately the way it's going to go. So I think it's quite exciting, but yeah, I'd just be very, very, very mindful about where I'm starting.
Well, you said an interesting point there around people being scared, excited, whatever. Let's just poll everybody for a second, right? Put your hand up in a second if you're more scared by AI, and then we'll do excited. So we'll do scared first and then excited. So who's leaning towards scared in the audience? Okay, and then everybody else is excited. So probably about 75% excited. Okay, which is good. I mean, hopefully that's not hopium. Hopefully that is the way it pans out, but we'll have to wait and see. What would your view be, AI?
Yeah, so I think the way I look at it is what the current LLMs and AI tools out there can enable every single company to do right now is pretty much everyone has a data layer, data sources, databases, and then you have some kind of app or product on the top that's delivering some value to your customer. Where I see you can add immediate value now with LLMs and tools like LangChain is converting those data sources into a vector data source so that it can be queryable by language. And what that allows you to do is essentially, in a way, AI helps you to build that analytics layer really quickly. So I think what analysts used to do and the whole kind of product stream around how do I get insights from my data, I feel a lot of companies are missing that boat right now. You can very easily take the data you have, use the power of LLMs and frameworks like LangChain, and deliver customer value through these insights. And that's also where your moat is, because you're doing this based on proprietary data. So I'm surprised at how few companies have caught on to this. Like, for me, the current state of the art is replacing analyst, and it can replace a lot of business intelligence tools as well. So even internally, if you set up your data sources in the right way, you could have a chatbot-like tool where your internal employees can basically query and find out any data they need for their day-to-day job instead of using a BI tool. And I think the frameworks out there are at a stage where you can do this in weeks, not months or years right now. So
I know startups that have been doing that from like almost day one, getting it ready to go. So when they start putting in the data, it's ready to query.